Hi, my name is Samantha. Thanks for joining me today. In today's Remnants to Radiance project, we're going to be making fabric coasters. Let's get into the video. When making a coaster, it's important to pick the right fabric and the right part of the fabric. That's why I've made this guide here that can help you figure out, is this fabric good for a coaster, or is there a certain spot that's better than others? As you can tell with these leaves and the trees, any part will work just fine. However, with the John Deeres, there are some parts that are better than others. So what I'm going to do is lay my fabric out and use my template to find the best location for my coaster. Now this opening is not what we will be cutting. This is what the final product will be. So this is not a template, it's just a guide. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it to figure out the best spot. And I have a heat removing pen, it's a friction pen. So right here is a good spot. So I could go and make a dot or make a line and make another line that I like this area right here. And find all the spots where you want to cut your coasters. Another thing to keep in mind is how much fabric you have, what else you're going to make, and how you want to cut it up. This piece I have right here is 12 inches by 42 inches, but that's not a whole 42 inches because of this. So it's more like 12 by 40, because this part here, the selvage, will end up getting cut off. But if I make anything, it has to go in this direction. So what I think I'm going to do, so I need 5 inches for my coaster. So this ruler is 5 inches. So I know that it is going to use this much of my fabric. So this is what I have remaining. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Flip it around here. 5 by 5. So right here we have 21 inches, but not really. So I'm going to cut 4 pieces. At the end, I'm going to leave a little extra so that I can chop it off and then it can become a perfect square. Okay, this one right here, I need to flip it over, chop it off. All right, now we have 4 coasters. I'm going to do the same thing with the other fabric, and I'll be back. Now we have 8 coasters cut. I'm going to go ahead and take these to the iron and iron them nice and flat. Now that our pieces are pressed, we're going to need some interfacing. I have some fusible interfacing right here. Hopefully this is enough. This is all I got left. I ordered a whole bolt from Joann's of 2 different kinds of interfacing about a month ago and still haven't gotten it. So very angry at Joann's right now. But I also have a couple pieces in here. So in this container, I like to cut up fabrics when they're almost done and have coasters ready to go. So I could just make all these coasters right now if I wanted to, if I had interfacing, Joann's. So you could use sew-in interfacing, or you can use fusible. We're going to do a little experiment to see which is better, sew-in or fusible. And if you watched the gift bag video, you'll see that we're using the same remnant piece. We're trying to get the most out of our remnants. So we've already made 2 gift bags, and now we're about to make 8 coasters, and we still have quite a bit left over. This is how much we still have left over of these 2 fabrics. It's a lot. I'm gonna cut my interfacing up. Here, I can do a quick count. So I have 2 pieces of sewable, so I'll put that off to the side. So I need 6. Oh man, so I just have enough for 8, it looks like. Okay, so I guess I'm cutting this up into coaster size. Hopefully my bolt comes soon so I can continue to make things, or I'm gonna have to, I guess, go get some to hold me over. Alright, so I'm cutting this 5 by 5 as well. You could cut it a hair shorter if you'd like. It's up to you. This is fusible. These ones are sew-in. This is another way that I check to see if a piece is big enough for a coaster. I have my washi tape right on the other side of the 5. So this would be the cut size, whereas the little window I showed you shows what you'll actually see once you do your sewing. 2 different things. And the little windows, I have a coaster one and also a scrunchy one, hair bow. So this will give you a good idea. Is this pattern worth cutting up for a scrunchie? Is it worth buying? You can stick this in your purse and take it with you when you go to the store. Maybe, maybe not. So it's a good guide to figure out if a fabric is worth it for the project before you cut it up and make the project. Just using my little ruler here. I actually found this at a thrift store for 99 cents. Maybe it was $1, I don't know. It was $1. These rulers are between like 10 to, the big ones could be anywhere up to 30 or 60. So when you find something like this, like the Omni Grip or like a thick acrylic at a thrift store, buy it. Even if it's a weird shape that you don't know if you'll use, like 8 by 8. I don't do quilting. I'm never going to cut something that small probably. But things like this, it's nice to just use this little one. I should probably replace my rotary blade. That's why it keeps stalling out on me. but I'm stingy, so I'm going to use it a little longer. All right. Toss that. This is all my fusible interfacing cut up, so I'll put two pieces aside. I don't know how I'm going to remember which one I did the sew in. One second. I have my bag here of all my sew-in interfacing scraps, and I'm trying to see if I have anything that's 5x5. I'm not seeing anything. Definitely a pro to fusible interfacing is that if I had two different pieces, I could just fuse them and it's fine. But with the sew-in, there's a clear cut, and unless you like quilt it on, like I could put two different pieces, but then I'd have to make quilting, and it's a lot of effort and not very enjoyable. So hoping I have, all I need is two pieces, so I could do like the John Deere's in fusible and then the trees in sewn, or the opposite. This one's okay. All right, I'll use that one. Find one more big piece. This is very frustrating. All right, I think I'm gonna have to empty out this whole bag and go through it, so I'll be back when I find something. So this is the biggest piece I could find, so we're just gonna have to make it work. And I'm thinking that when I sew, you know, I'm gonna sew with a 1/2" seam allowance, so it's going to be, you know, there, right there, that's the part I'm sewing, so I think I should be able to catch it. I think it should be fine. See, I have the lines. I think I should be okay. All right, we're gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna cut this up. Oh, I'll cut one side to 5 inches, so then at least one side will definitely get caught in the stitches. Just go back in the scrap bag. Okay, so let's build our sandwiches now. I'll do the trees in the sew-on interfacing. So we're gonna do right sides together, and then piece of interfacing. Then we'll need pins. I like to put my pins in the middle, facing 2 different directions. Doing it like this, I can do my sewing without having to move the pins. It can just stay the way it is. I could sew all the way around, and with the sew-in, it might shift, so that's why I like to be able to leave the pins. This one's fusible. All right, sew-in. So I'm gonna do these sandwiches. The fusible is the same concept. I'm just gonna have to go to the iron, and I'm going to take that's not fusible. I'm gonna take the rough side, put it on the wrong side of the fabric, and then iron it on, and then I'm going to put it right sides together and build the same sandwiches. I'm gonna go do that and I'll be back. The next step is to sew around this, leaving an opening. So I'm going to sew a straight stitch all the way around, all the way around, and leave an opening right here. So I'm going to backstitch, sew, backstitch. I'm going to pivot at each corner to give a nice sharp corner. Now we need to take the pins out, trim the corners, and turn it right side out. So when sewing, I definitely see a difference between the fusible and the sew-in interfacing. The fusible is more stiff and it's much easier to work with. The sew-in is very flimsy and it tends to shift. And you also have to make sure you catch it all the way around, which can definitely be frustrating because then you end up having to unpick seams. But those smaller pieces I ended up using, it's fine. They ended up working just fine. Right, so now we need to trim our corners without cutting our sew-in lines. Then we trim each side, but not the side with the opening. All right, I'm going to do the rest of the stack. Now we need to turn these inside out. The fusible, that's really simple because there's no way we can take these two pieces apart. Stick your finger in the one corner and flip. You can be a little forceful, but don't bust your seams. They don't look like a jumbled up mess. Just stick your finger in the hole. Put your finger on the outside into the corner and then use the finger on the inside, touch the corner, and then push out. Finger in the hole, finger touching it, push it out. Then once you have it the majority of the way done, grab your chopstick, go in, push the corners, pull at the seams, and go ahead and do the rest of the stack. Now we need to take these to the iron. Make sure that the opening flap is pushed in and iron them flat. Now that the coasters are pressed, I'm going to load my machine with green thread so that I can do a top stitch around the whole coaster on all these coasters. My needle is moved all the way over. I'm using a lead piece. And now I'm going to get to stitching. Let's compare the fusible interfacing and the sew-in interfacing. The sew-in interfacing is definitely more pliable. It's more bendy. It was harder to sew with. It's harder to work with. The fusible is more sturdy and it's easier to work with. I would recommend using fusible. It also feels more higher quality. This one's very soft. I would say use sew-in if you're looking like to make something that you're going to use against your face or something soft. The fusible definitely feels more sturdy, feels more like a store-bought coaster, feels higher quality. I would recommend fusible. These coasters are all done and are available for purchase. It's going to be a set, 2 John Deere, 2 trees, and the coordinating gift bag that comes with a paper tag. The complete sets will be available on Etsy. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I inspired you to make some fabric coasters. Have a great day. Goodbye.